Exposed, how my simple idea transformed me from family embarrassment to Forbes cover star. Jenna Thompson never imagined her mundane life as a single mother in Cedar Grove would lead her to a moment of glory. She juggled bills and bedtime stories, all while her family's whispers cut through her like knives. What a disgrace, they'd say. But then everything changed. The simplicity of her idea, making eco-friendly products from discarded materials, would soon shatter the chains of judgment that bound her. The day of the failed job interview still stung. Jenna could feel the eyes of the interviewer rolling as she stumbled through questions. "You'll never be more than a single mom," he sneered, dismissing her dreams. That night, she sat with Lucas and Mia, their homework spread before them. Their grades slipped, a reflection of their chaotic life. The weight of disappointment sank into her chest. Could she ever escape this cycle? Then one day, while frantically searching the clutter of her garage, Jenna tripped over a stack of old newspapers. And there it was, an idea sparked by nothing more than a mess. What if I could create something beautiful from this? The fresh air filled her lungs as desire surged within her for the first time in years. As Jenna crafted her first piece of vibrant basket made from repurposed cans, she felt as if she were breathing life back into herself. She shared her creations online, and slowly, support trickled in from friends and neighbors who admired her tenacity. A flicker of hope ignited. This could be her way out, but there was pressure too. Her family insisted she take a real job. "You need stability," they urged, but they couldn't see the fire building inside her. She felt torn between their expectations and her dreams. The judgments of her community echoed loudly in her mind, unrelenting and cruel. At the annual Cedar Grove Community Festival, Jenna showcased her handmade products. It was there that jealousy from a local competitor emerged, bringing with it a wave of anxiety. The thought of being sabotaged rattled her, but as she stood before the crowd, she knew this was her moment. With trembling hands, she stepped up to the microphone. "I'm not just a single mom," she began, her heart racing. "I'm someone trying to make a better future for my kids." Tears threatened to spill as she bared her soul, revealing her struggles, her dreams, and the unwavering hope for acceptance. The crowd listened, some faces softened, others hardened. Yet, slowly, applause started to ripple through the crowd. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. Just when it seemed the town stood behind her, a local news outlet caught wind of her story. Suddenly, she was thrust into the spotlight. A feature in Forbes loomed on the horizon, shining like a beacon of hope. But with it came the familiar anxiety, the fears of rejection whispering in her mind. Would they still judge her? Could she rise above the image that had been painted of her for so long? As the chapter drew to a close, Jenna felt both exhilarated and terrified. Could she forgive them all, the naysayers, the family, the community? Would she be able to shatter the expectations holding her back? Standing on the brink of change, she knew one thing: her journey was just beginning, and the story was far from over. Jenna stood in her living room, gazing at the magazine that had changed everything. The cover of Forbes featured her smiling face, framed by bold letters that proclaimed her achievements. She felt a mix of joy and disbelief. This was the affirmation she needed, but also a reminder of the doubts that clung to her like shadows. The phone buzzed on the table, pulling her from her thoughts. It was a message from her sister. "Mom's worried about you, Jenna. You need to come over. We have a lot to discuss." The words stung. Here they were, still pressing her to conform, wrapped in their concerns while she was trying to break free. "Mom's worries?" she muttered, incredulous. "What about my worries?" She felt the heat rising in her chest, a mixture of frustration and determination. With a deep breath, she decided it was time to confront these lingering feelings. The next day, Jenna walked into her childhood home, the walls echoing the laughter and chaos of her youth. Her mom was in the kitchen, busy with her signature meatloaf, the aroma wafting through the air like a warm embrace. As Jenna stepped closer, she caught her mother's eye. The frown that creased her brow wasn't lost on her. "Jenna," her mom began, her voice heavy with concern. "We just want you to be safe. We love you, you know that. Do you love me enough to support what I'm doing?" Jenna shot back, the words slipping out before she could catch them. "I'm not just a single mom anymore. I have a vision." The tension thickened, and for a moment, silence filled the space. Her mother turned away, trying to recapture the calmness needed for dinner prep. But Jenna could see the hurt simmering underneath that facade. She curled her fingers tightly into fists, wanting to soften the blow but knowing the truth sometimes stung. "Mom, what you think of me is not who I am. I'm bringing something good to this town, something positive. Why can't you see that?" Her mom looked at her, eyes shimmering with unshed tears. "Because I'm scared, Jenna. You have children. What if this doesn't work out? What if you fail?" "With all due respect, failing is not an option," Jenna replied, her voice unwavering. "You raised me to face my challenges head-on. I'm doing this for Lucas and Mia. I want them to see me thrive, not just survive." A silence hung in the air as Jenna's words settled like dust. Her mother finally seemed to process what she had just said. There was a flicker of recognition in her eyes. "I suppose I just want you to be happy," she whispered. "And I am," Jenna replied, warmth bubbling in her chest. "For the first time in years, I feel like I'm becoming someone." The conversation shifted, moving from hurt to understanding, and slowly, Jenna saw a spark of pride ignite within her mother's demeanor. They shared a moment of vulnerability, a chance to heal. On her way home, Jenna felt lighter, more empowered. Each street sign flashed like a marker toward her future. Ideas bubbled in her mind, new products to create and new markets to explore. But she still sensed the eyes of judgment around her, waiting to pounce. Just when she thought she could breathe freely, an email from the Forbes team arrived, stirring fresh anxiety within her. "We'd like to schedule a live interview." Panic washed over her. Would she be able to present herself confidently? As she hit reply, her heart raced. What if I stumble? Her fingers hovered over the keyboard. And then she paused, realizing that every moment had led her here, to this very point. With a deep breath, she typed, "I'd love to, but I have a few questions of my own." Was she ready for this next step? The world was watching, and every mistake felt magnified. Yet as Jenna prepared for the unknown, she felt the warmth of support backing her. But would it be enough to shield her from the old judgments creeping back into her mind? The deeper she ventured into her dreams, the more vulnerable she felt. Would the praise be worth it if the criticisms came flooding back? The morning of the interview dawned bright and clear, but Jenna's stomach twisted in knots. She sat at the small kitchen table, laptop opened in front of her, staring at herself in the unintentionally reflective screen. The image of a woman with hopeful eyes and a determined face stared back, and, for a moment, she didn't recognize herself. "Just breathe," she whispered. The sunlight streamed in through the window, warming her shoulders, but it did little to ease the fluttering in her chest. She ran a hand through her hair and tried to focus on the bright side. Her phone chimed again, pulling her attention away. A text from her sister flashed across the screen. "You've got this. Remember to smile. They want to hear your story." Jenna smiled at that, a genuine smile. Her sister had always been her greatest cheerleader, and in this moment, Jenna was grateful for the support. She took a deep breath and glanced at the clock. Time was ticking. 5 minutes until the interview. Adrenaline surged through her. This was no longer just about her. This was about Lucas and Mia, a legacy she wanted to create. She could hear her mother's soft voice in her mind, urging her on. "You are strong, Jenna. Show them what you can do." As the video call connected, Jenna's heart raced. The host, a sharp-dressed man with a welcoming smile, appeared on the screen. "Hello, Jenna. Thank you for joining us today." "Thank you for having me," she replied, trying to keep her voice steady. He smiled warmly. We're excited to have you share your journey. Let's dive right in. What inspired this amazing transformation? Her breath hitched. I wanted to create something meaningful, something that showed my kids that hard work and belief can lead to incredible things. She could feel the weight of her narrative bearing down on her, but the words began to flow like a river breaking free from a dam. So, you're saying that this journey was for your children's future? He probed gently, leaning in slightly, as if to bridge the emotional distance. Absolutely, Jenna responded. I want Lucas and Mia to know that they can chase their dreams and make them a reality. I want them to see me thrive, not just survive. With each response, Jenna felt more confident, her nerves settling like the tide. As she spoke of her ideas, her vision, the passion poured out of her. Each question felt like a stepping stone, taking her further away from the doubts that had held her back. But just as she began to feel comfortable, the host leaned in. Tell us, Jenna, how have you coped with the skepticism from your family or even from your community? The question hung in the air, heavy and unexpected. Jenna faltered for just a moment. She thought of the conversations with her mother, the strained silences, the doubt in their eyes. It's been hard, she admitted, feeling a lump in her throat. I've struggled with wanting their support while also trying to pave my own way. But as she closed her eyes for a moment, she saw the faces of her children. I had to remind myself that this journey is about breaking cycles. I want them to see me embrace my dreams, even if it means facing criticism. Such a powerful message, he said, letting her words sink in. In that moment, Jenna realized she was no longer the woman haunted by judgment. She felt strength growing within her, she was becoming the woman she wanted to be. As they continued discussing her work and her vision for the future, a sense of warmth spread in her chest. She was in control now, hours after the interview. As Jenna sat in her living room, she replayed the experience over in her head. Had she really just transformed the way she viewed herself? But just as her spirit soared, an unexpected alert popped on her phone. A notification from social media, criticism of her appearance and her past. The sting hit her like a slap. With trembling fingers, she prepared to mute her notifications, but hesitated. Was she going to let voices from the shadows drag her back down? Jenna took a deep breath and set her phone down. She had come too far, she would not let a few negative comments define her journey. Yet, an unsettling question lingered. Would the support she felt today survive once the world saw her in a more vulnerable light? As the sun set outside her window, she pondered how the real test of her transformation lay ahead. What if exposing her true self led to more doubts than she could handle? What would that mean for her future? Jenna sat in the fading light, the world outside transitioning from golden warmth to cool shadows. Her heart still raced from the adrenaline of the interview, a roller coaster of emotions flashing through her mind like quick frames of a movie. The moment she dared to start believing in herself, the moment she felt alight with hope, it all seemed like a fragile dream now, teetering on the edge of a crevasse. The phone buzzed again, this time more insistent. It seemed as if the universe was conspiring to pull her back into doubt. She picked it up, her breath hitching when she saw a new post, a comment on an article featuring her interview. The tone dripped with sarcasm, mocking her journey, and labeling everything she had worked so hard for as trivial. A mix of rage and hurt flared in Jenna's chest. Why did some people thrive on tearing others down? Stop it. She whispered to herself, hands clenched around her phone. You're not that person anymore. But the words felt hollow in the cool light of her living room. What if they were right? What if she really was just grasping at straws, trying to create something beautiful from her messy past? She closed her eyes, a single tear escaping down her cheek. It felt like a betrayal to herself. The journey she had shared so openly during the interview had been genuine. Each word had been a brick laid down in the foundation of a new life, yet now that structure trembled under the weight of a few spiteful words. You know what, Jenna? She looked in the mirror at her tired reflection, the glimmer of determination still alive in her eyes. You won't back down. You can't. The thought of Lucas and Mia filled her heart. They were her purpose. They deserved the best version of her, the strong, unapologetic woman who wanted to leave her worries behind. The next day, Jenna woke up with renewed resolve. Instead of scrolling aimlessly through her notifications, she opened a blank document on her laptop. She wrote a response, not to the critics, but to herself, a reminder of where she was going. She wove her story, words flying across the screen as she replayed the moments that had shaped her. Each word was a thread, intertwining to create the tapestry of her life. I am more than my past, she typed feverishly. I am not defined by others' opinions. My story matters, and I will share it courageously. Even if it means standing alone. With each keystroke, Jenna felt lighter, as if a weight was lifting. She paused only to glance out her window, noticing the severity of the morning sky. Suddenly, an idea sparked within her. What if she shared her story in a different way? Not just for herself, but for others who might feel the same relentless judgments from the world. With her heart racing, she started crafting a blog, a space where vulnerability could bloom into strength. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard, anticipation mingling with fear. Would people resonate with her journey of transformation? Would they see their reflections in her struggles and triumphs? As the day wore on, Jenna poured herself into this new project, rallying her spirit with each sentence. But just as optimism began to take root, the nagging voice of doubt returned. Would embracing her truth this openly attract more criticism? Would she risk further ridicule and scorn? As she stared at the screen, the cursor blinking back at her like an impatient child, Jenna was reminded of the question that had haunted her: what would expose her true self do? Would it build a bridge for others, or would it simply lay her bare for more judgment? With a deep breath, she hit publish, heart pounding in her chest. A new journey had just begun, and in that moment of reckoning, she felt the ground shift beneath her, thick with uncertainty and possibility. What would be the next twist in her whirlwind journey? As Jenna took a moment to process it all, she knew one thing was for sure: this was just the beginning. The first day after the blog post felt surreal. Jenna woke to a flurry of notifications. Her heart raced when she opened her laptop to check. The responses poured in like a torrential rain. Some were overwhelmingly supportive, filled with words of empathy and encouragement. Others? Not so much. Who does she think she is? One comment scrolled across her screen. This is just begging for attention. There it was again, that familiar sting of doubt. But this time, she tried to push it aside. The supportive comments kept coming, people sharing their own stories. They connected with her in ways she hadn't imagined. She poured a cup of coffee and sat in her small kitchen, the calming aroma wrapping around her while she read through everything. Each time she pressed refresh, the number of views and comments grew. A wave of excitement washed over her. The blog was gaining traction, and for the first time, it felt like she was part of something bigger. Jenna, check this out. Lucas called from the living room, his excitement bubbling over. He rushed over with his tablet, showing her a screenshot of an online community discussing her blog post. Look at this. They're talking about how you're inspiring them. His eyes sparkled with pride, and Jenna felt warmth surge through her. She turned back to the screen and read through some of the posts. It was more than validation, it was a lifeline for many who felt alone. This is incredible, she breathed, smiling at Lucas. But as quickly as joy bloomed, shadows crept in again. The doubts echoed louder than before. What if this was all temporary? What if they changed their minds and turned against her? She pushed her worries down, wanting to savor the glow of the moment. Mom. Mia's voice broke her reverie as she entered with her art supplies in hand. Can we paint? I want to make a picture to be just like you. The sincerity in her daughter's eyes struck Jenna deep. Just like me? Her heart swelled as Mia nodded enthusiastically. You're brave, Mom. They settled down at the kitchen table, and Jenna watched her daughter mix colors with glee. Each brushstroke was a reminder of the young girl who used to shrink back from the world, too scared of being judged. She smiled, the weight of uncertainty slowly dissipating. It felt cathartic, painting side by side, their laughter filling the room. That evening, after putting Mia to bed, Jenna returned to her blog. Ideas flowed like water now, chapters piecing together lessons learned, struggles faced, and victories celebrated. She felt a unique sense of power. At that moment, she realized it was about more than just her story. It was about creating a platform for truth and connection, but then she remembered the harsh comments, a lump forming in her throat. Would her newfound courage hold firm under the pressure? Would the negativity pull her into a deep hole again? She took a deep breath and made a decision. The next blog entry would dive into her fears, how she dealt with negativity and self-doubt. It felt right. Transparency was essential, and she wanted to connect with those who might feel like she had in the past. With renewed commitment, Jenna began writing, pouring her heart out. Each word felt liberating, and ahead of her lay a path of even deeper vulnerability, but just as she finished her outline, her phone buzzed. There, waiting for her, were notifications from a live streaming platform. An invitation to discuss her journey with a well-known podcast had arrived. Her heart raced again. This could be a defining moment. Jenna's breath caught in her throat. What if the exposure brought even more judgment? What if she faltered under the spotlight? Yet, the words from earlier echoed in her mind, "I will share it courageously." With a mix of anticipation and fear swelling within her, she glanced at the screen once more. What was the next step in this uncharted journey? Would she find the courage to step even further into the light? Jenna's fingers hovered over her keyboard. The invitation loomed larger than life, pulsing with potential but weighed down by the fear of exposure. She glanced toward the sleeping pages of her blog, a sanctuary for her thoughts. But this was a whole new level. What if I freeze? She whispered to herself, the anxiety spiraling within. Thoughts raced through her mind, each more daunting than the last. What if the host challenged her? What if she fumbled over her words and let everyone down? The online support had been beautiful, but a live audience felt like staring into a spotlight too bright, too intense. Breathing deeply, Jenna poured herself another cup of coffee, the warmth reassuring against her palms. She needed to think. She knew that if she awoke the morning of the podcast without a plan, the fear would consume her. Jenna grabbed a blank notebook and a pen, ready to strategize. What did she want to achieve? Inspiration? Connection? Or maybe just the chance to validate her feelings, a way to show that even in the depths of insecurity, one could find strength. The sun began to rise, light spilling into her kitchen like a warm embrace. As the world outside stirred, Jenna jotted down notes, thoughts spilling out like the coffee she poured. Focus on your journey, she wrote, the phrase taking root. Share your doubts. How did you push through? Ink flowed rapidly, transforming the blank pages into a tribute to resilience, a window into her soul. Each sentence fortified her resolve. Yes, there would be critics. But there would also be supporters. She could be the voice for those still trapped in silence, just like she once was. A sudden noise startled her. Mia's tiny footsteps padded across the hallway. Jenna smiled, her daughter's presence a grounding force. She quickly closed the notebook, not ready to share just yet. Good morning, sunshine. Jenna beamed as Mia entered, rubbing the sleep from her eyes. She hopped into her mother's lap, and they shared a morning embrace filled with warmth. Are you okay, Mommy? Mia asked, her voice small but sincere. I am now, Jenna smiled, ruffling her daughter's hair. Just thinking about some exciting things. What things? Mia's curiosity sparked to life. Jenna hesitated, unsure how much to share. She wanted to protect Mia from the weight of adult challenges but knew she also wanted to nurture her courage. I'll be talking to some people about my blog. About how we can be brave even when we're scared. Mia tilted her head, as if contemplating the magnitude of this. Like superheroes? Exactly, Jenna guided, impressed by her daughter's perception. Superheroes who aren't afraid to show who they really are. They spent the morning creating colorful illustrations of their own versions of superheroes, laughter echoing through the kitchen. Jenna felt lighter, the joyful chaos balancing out her unease. Later that afternoon, armed with a clearer purpose, Jenna returned to her notes. She envisioned a strong message of vulnerability, how confronting her fears had become her own kind of superpower. With every sentence that poured forth, Jenna felt the weight lift. Her heart raced, not with fear but with a different kind of electricity, the thrill of sharing her truth. This wasn't just about her anymore. It was about everyone fighting their own battles silently. As dusk settled, she logged onto her blog one last time before the podcast. The responses had grown, each message weaving into the fabric of her courage. But suddenly, a new comment surfaced, jarring her focus. It wasn't supportive, it dripped with disdain, questioning her intentions, begging for validation. Fingers trembling, Jenna glanced at the clock. The podcast was in less than an hour. Her heart thumped loudly in her chest. The invitation had felt like an opportunity, but it could easily become a minefield. Would she have the strength to face the critics? To embrace vulnerability despite the looming threats? As her phone buzzed with reminders, a resolute thought pierced through the anxiety: I will share it courageously. But deep down, a tiny voice whispered, what if she faltered under the scrutiny? With her heart racing, Jenna squared her shoulders. Ready or not, she was about to step into the light. But would the reality of that exposure shatter her or propel her to newfound heights? Jenna's heart raced as she adjusted the collar of her shirt for the 5th time. Each minute passed like an hour, the anticipation wrapping around her like a tightening noose. She felt dizzy with excitement and fear. The living room, her makeshift stage, was filled with the hum of her laptop, the soft glow highlighting her determined expression. Mia dashed around the room, her giggles cutting through the thick tension, blissfully unaware of the storm brewing in her mother's mind. Jenna watched her daughter twirl, taking comfort in her light. But a dark shadow loomed in the back of Jenna's mind. The critical comment nagged at her like an unwelcome guest. Mama, I'm flying, Mia exclaimed, arms wide, and in that moment, Jenna felt the flutter of hope, a reminder that courage could come in small packages. The innocence of her child grounded her. We all have our own wings, Jenna thought. That it was almost time. The podcast echoed with the rustling of papers and soft murmurs of participants warming up their voices. Jenna took a deep breath. She could do this. She would do this. The host's voice broke through her thoughts, calling for her first. Welcome, Jenna. We're so excited to hear from you. The words were like music, calming yet charged with energy. A camera flashed to life. Jenna's smile felt shaky, but she pushed through, forcing warmth into her expression. Hi. She started, her voice steadier than she anticipated. Thank you for having me. The click of pens and shifts on chairs indicated the audience was paying attention. She'd practiced this moment in her mind 1,000 times, rehearsing the way she would address the fears that once silenced her. Today I want to talk about bravery. She glanced at the camera, envisioning all the faces watching her, each one holding their own struggles, their own stories. Bravery isn't only about grand gestures, it's about standing up while you're scared out of your mind. She continued, sharing her journey, every stumble and setback. As she spoke, the room around her faded, enveloped in the warmth of her words. Jenna recounted how she once felt powerless, the way the shadows of self-doubt clawed at her spirit. The audience listened, entranced, every person hanging on her every word, but amid her flow, that nagging thought crept in again. They'll find you out, it hissed. Who do you think you are? Jenna's chest tightened, but she rolled her shoulders back, drawing on the energy of her daughter's laughter. Just last week, I received a comment on my blog that made me question everything I've built. You're just a family embarrassment, it said. And for a fleeting moment, I believed it. She paused, letting the weight of those words settle. But here's what I found: you can either let those voices define you or use them as fuel to rise above. A small gasp echoed from the audience, a ripple of surprise and connection. Jenna saw nods and exchanged looks. She couldn't believe the strength swirling within her. It was exhilarating. I want to be real with you all, she confessed, her voice breaking slightly. There have been days when I felt like giving up, hiding away from the world. I was afraid of judgment, afraid of being seen. She turned earnest, locking eyes with the camera. But what I learned is that every fear carries a story, and sharing those stories can change lives. The host jumped in, energized by her words. Jenna, that's profound. You're definitely inspiring everyone here today. The applause drowned her in its embrace, and she couldn't help but beam, but as the applause resounded, Jenna's mind veered back to that biting comment. Was she truly turning her struggles into strength? Could she bear the weight of this new visibility? Would the praise drown her as quickly as the negativity had tried? As the discussion evolved, Jenna felt both wings and weights. She shared her vulnerabilities, but deep down, she longed to know if the applause would drown out the criticism. She could sense the delicate balance hanging in the air, each response mingling with her fears, and just as the session wound down, the host dropped a final question that struck at Jenna's core. What's next for you, Jenna? How will you continue to grow? Her heart raced, uncertainty coiling around her thoughts. What if the next chapter was even more daunting than this one? Jenna took a moment, breathing deeply, feeling the intensity of the moment. I don't know yet, she admitted, her voice quivering with both fear and exhilaration. But what I do know is that I want to stop sharing. I want to stop growing. As she signed off, she felt lighter, yet the looming question remained. Had she truly conquered her fears or merely been distracted from their hold? And what if the next time she stood in the light, it wasn't just for herself but for everyone who had ever felt like a family embarrassment, just waiting to find their own wings? Jenna's heart still hummed from the thrill of sharing her story. But as she clicked the window closed, a fresh wave of tension rolled in. What would her life look like now? With each new audience came the potential for new judgments. How would she balance the newfound spark of inspiration with the risk of more critical eyes? Mama, look! Mia cried, darting into the room, her arms filled with the paper crafts she spent the morning creating. Each piece vibrated with color pinks, yellows, and blues intertwined in joyful chaos. I made this for you. She handed over a lopsided paper heart, wrinkled but bright, and Jenna's worries began to dissolve like morning dew in the sun. Oh, Mia! It's beautiful! Jenna exclaimed, holding the heart to her chest. In that moment, the world outside felt quieter, as if the bustle of uncertainties paused to let them share this small joy. You're so talented. Mia beamed, her smile lighting up the room. And just like that, Jenna's fears began to shift. Her daughter was a constant reminder that courage wasn't just required in front of a camera. It lay in the simple moments, sitting with laughter, creating memories, drawing love out of the simplest materials. Let us create something together, Jenna declared, inspired. They spread a blanket on the floor, transforming the living room into their crafting haven. As they snipped and glued, Jenna couldn't help but notice how the laughter mingled with old worries, pushing them aside. Each moment spent with Mia felt like a reminder that every heartache could still flourish amidst love. Hours passed like minutes, and soon, the room was a riot of color and clipping, signs of collaboration that couldn't be critiqued, only celebrated. Each addition to their work echoed Jenna's new spirit, a mixture of bravery and vulnerability blended into tangible expressions of love. Look, Mama! We made a banner. It says, "Brave Together," Mia declared, hopping in place. Brave together, Jenna repeated, feeling the weight of the words settle deeply in her heart. This wasn't just about her anymore, it was about the two of them, building something from the ground up. But as that thought drifted to the surface, another shadow from the past rippled out, stirring buried anxieties. She couldn't escape the fact that she was still vulnerable, surrounded by potential harsh comments, and still wrestling with the insecurities that questioned her very worth. Mia, Jenna began, as the little girl carefully glued another cutout onto the banner. What does brave mean to you? Mia paused, her brow furrowed in concentration. Brave is when you do something even when it's scary. Like when I tried that big slide, even when I was scared of falling. She smiled wide, eyes sparkling. Jenna chuckled softly, her heart filling with warmth. You're right. It's about trying, no matter what. But, Mama, Mia continued, her brow furrowing again. Aren't you brave already? You talked to all those people today. The comment felt heavier than any praise she'd received. Mia saw her, truly saw her, both as a mother and as a person. You think so? Jenna asked, her voice softer now. Of course. And I think it's okay to be scared too. Everyone gets scared sometimes, but that doesn't mean they're not brave. Jenna felt a lump in her throat, emotions swirling in rich color. Her daughter, with her innocent wisdom, reminded her that bravery was a journey, not a destination. This entire experience, a podcast, the potential for growth, was just a part of the path, not the end of it, but questions still swirled. What if she stumbled? What if she fell? Would Mia see her as less if the applause turned to dissonance? It felt like standing on a precipice, sensing her mother's turmoil. Mia placed a tiny hand on her arm. You know what? You'll always be brave to me. Even on the days it feels hard. We can do this together. Those words washed over Jenna, calming the raging storm within. She knew what came next would challenge her in ways she couldn't yet imagine. As the banner dried, a new thought formed, a resolve to share her journey beyond the walls of their living room. Let us make the world see what brave looks like, Jenna whispered, a newfound determination igniting. What if this was just the beginning? What if she could turn this moment into a movement, creating a space where others could share, support, and fly together? And yet, as much as she wanted to embark on this adventure, a nagging fear remained. Could she handle the exposure that awaited her? What if the next round of judgment felt unbearable? Jenna awoke the next morning, the sunlight streaming through the window, casting soft rays across the room. The vibrant banner they had made together hung on the wall, a daily reminder of their shared promise, brave together. Yet, despite the warmth of the dawning day, her stomach churned with anxiety. After breakfast, she sat at her kitchen table, laptop open, fingers hovering above the keys. Every time she thought about typing, her heart raced. What if her words fell flat? What if they opened the door for ridicule instead of support? But as she recalled Mia's encouraging smile, she felt a spark ignite inside her. She knew she had to try. Jenna took a deep breath and began to write. She poured out her heart, detailing her vulnerabilities and hopes, the dreams she had for herself, and the fears that threatened to hold her back. With every sentence, the weight on her chest lifted slightly. She was laying bare her soul, and it felt freeing. An hour turned to 2, and the words flowed easily from her heart. The stories of overcoming moments of doubt intertwined with the dreams of creating a safe space for others who shared their fears. Jenna envisioned a community built on mutual support and courage, a place where bravery wasn't measured by loud declarations, but by small, everyday actions. After hitting send, Jenna felt like she had leaped into the unknown. The uncertainty of her vulnerability scared her, but it also stirred something deep, a sense of purpose. She had shared her truth, feeling a mix of relief and enthusiasm. Jenna decided to take a walk. A gentle breeze swept through the trees, rustling leaves and carrying the scent of blossoming flowers. Nature always had a way of grounding her, reminding her of life's beautiful possibilities. As Jenna walked, thoughts spiraled in her mind. Would anyone respond? What if the feedback wasn't what she hoped for? The whispers of doubt danced around her, but she pushed through, focusing on every small footstep on the sidewalk and enjoying the rhythm. Mama, can we go to the park? Mia's voice broke through her thoughts as she ran to catch up with Jenna. Her little shoes scuffed along the pavement, and a bouquet of wildflowers clutched in her hands added color to the day. Of course, sweetheart. Let us see the ducks. Jenna replied, giving in to the joy of the moment. Watching Mia skip ahead, she couldn't help but smile. The bravery she was trying to embrace started to blend into her daily life with Mia. It was about finding magic in the little things. At the park, they settled on a bench near the pond, watching the ducks glide effortlessly across the water. Mia scattered pieces of bread, squealing in delight each time a duck quacked near them. Jenna laughed, feeling lighter with every chuckle. Look, Mama. The ducks are so brave. Mia exclaimed, her eyes wide with excitement. They come right up to us. It's like they know we have food. Jenna couldn't help but giggle at the thought. Yes, they are brave, just like us. The realization settled gently within her. If a duck could face its fears for a few crumbs, then she could face the possibility of judgment and step into the spotlight. As they headed home, Jenna's phone buzzed a notification from her post. Taking a moment to catch her breath, she opened it, and her heart raced. Messages already began to pour in, support and encouragement flooding her screen. Jenna felt tears prick at her eyes. She never expected this response. She wasn't alone in her vulnerability. It reminded her that bravery wasn't just a solitary journey. It was communal, woven through shared stories, and it held power when embraced together. But just as she began to feel stronger, new doubts tugged at her mind. What if the tide of positive messages turned? What if harsh criticisms came next? With the excitement of connection came the weight of expectation. Mama? Mia tugged on her hand as they walked through the front door. Are you okay? Jenna knelt to meet her daughter's curious gaze. I am, honey. Just thinking. You know, bravery can feel really big sometimes. Mia nodded. Her expression serious. Maybe we should make more banners. Everyone can see them. A smile broke through Jenna's worry. That's a great idea. We can spread bravery everywhere, just like the ducks. As they prepared to create more art together, Jenna realized that this was the heart of their journey. It wasn't just about her stepping into the light, it was about building a bridge for those around her, inviting them to share in their own tales of courage. But just then, the sound of an incoming message made her stomach twist again. Who was it? The anxiety crept back, and she hesitated to look. Was it another wave of support or the beginning of criticism? With her heart thudding, she opened her phone slowly, knowing it could change everything. A notification from her blog lit up the screen, and Jenna's breath hitched. The message blinked like a beacon: your post is going viral. As she scrolled through the countless responses, her heart raced faster than a roller coaster, emotions swirling like a whirlwind inside her. People shared their own stories of struggle and victory. Tears of joy streamed down her cheeks. This was the connection she craved, the community she had hoped to inspire. Each comment was a victory lap over her fears. That feeling blossomed within her, illuminating the shadows that had lingered for too long. Mama, look! Mia called from the other room, adorning the kitchen counter with her latest creation, a new colorful banner reading, "We are brave together." The artwork radiated colors and happiness, capturing the spirit of their journey. Jenna rushed over to see. It's beautiful, sweetheart. You're such an amazing artist. The pride blossoming in her chest was palpable. Mia giggled, and we can make one for everyone. So they know they can be brave too. At that moment, Jenna knew. This was more than just her story now, it was about rallying everyone to see their strength. But as they painted and chuckled away the hours, an unexpected flood of anxiety washed over Jenna. What if the negative comments came rolling in again? She had faced rejection before, and the fear of going back to the judgmental whispers loomed like a heavy ghost from the past. Mama, what's wrong? Mia asked, pausing her artwork, concern etched on her little face. Just thinking about how brave we've been, Jenna began, her voice softer. And about how scary it can feel sometimes, putting myself out there. It's okay, Mama. But it's also good. Like you said. The ducks are brave too. Jenna couldn't help but laugh at how deeply her daughter understood. You're right, Mia. They keep swimming, even when things get tough. Just like we are. As the sun set, their kitchen glowed with the warmth of shared joy, and Jenna allowed her vulnerability to evolve into power. When she checked her notifications again, she reminded herself that she had embarked on this journey not just to shine alone but to shine alongside others. Suddenly, a hard honk from outside interrupted her thoughts. The headlights of Lucas's soccer team pulled into the driveway. Their smiling faces swarmed into the house, all ready to embrace the unexpected adventure of making their own banners and messages. Mama! Lucas shouted, waving a team banner with a big grin. We want to join the brave movement. Can we spread more love? Jenna's heart swelled, and she nodded. Of course. Let us get started. Together, the room exploded into color as children excitedly brainstormed messages of courage. They collaborated, each one carving out their own piece of bravery with laughter, shared stories, and unrelenting support, hours slipped away until they finally crafted an abundance of banners, each one a tiny monument of personal victory. We are stronger together. Courage comes from within. Be your own kind of incredible. As the children stepped outside, Jenna followed, her chest now light with purpose. The hesitant feelings that clouded her heart began to fade with each ripple of laughter and joyous noise. They ventured into their community, skipping down the street as they hung the banners for all to see. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Jenna watched as her worries lifted like the very banners she had created. She stood among her children, united as a community, with smiles lighting their faces. It was clear this was the moment she had been waiting for, a moment where transformation flourished in connection. When judgment knocked, she knew she would face it head-on, because the love shared in that moment was stronger than any voice trying to tear down. Remember, everyone, bravery is about showing up for one another. Jenna declared, and the crowd erupted in cheers, shouts of love echoing through the air, illuminating the once darkened corners of her heart. In that moment, Jenna fully realized that she was no longer a family embarrassment. She had transformed into a beacon of hope, weaving together stories of strength with those around her. As she looked at her children Lucas and Mia, she knew this was just the beginning. They could be brave together, pulling others along into their luminous journey with each story shared and each moment embraced. And it was time for Jenna to step back into the spotlight and continue her mission. Because now, more than ever, it was clear, true magic happened when fears were embraced, resistance was transformed into resilience, and the community stood strong, hand in hand, ready to face whatever lay ahead. Now, dear friends, this is the moment for you. You need to subscribe now to our channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that could change your life. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep the magic flowing. Comment your reactions and feelings about this inspiring ending. We want to hear your thoughts. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to experience this transformation. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting us through these actions.